Really appreciated the live stream yesterday. It was amazing. What a blessing! I didn't expect. I didn't think they were going to let me do it at the Corinthia because a lot of the places now they don't really like you doing live. It depends on the place live stream. So I'm in a different place today. I'm in the Lanesborough Hotel, one of the best hotels I've ever been in London. I just asked the lady here, is it haunted? Because a friend of mine said that it was haunted. She said it isn't, but I'm not so sure because you feel a certain energy when you're in different parts. It used to be a hospital here, so who knows? Anyway, what I wanted to talk today about was discipline, and Fitzroy Lodge Amateur Boxing Gym is where I learned a lot about discipline, as I've learned a lot about discipline running a business, coaching, facing my own fears. So many things I'm going to talk about that today. I can't speak as loud because it's not, there's people here speaking, so I have to keep it down a little bit. But I'm sure all of you will get a lot from this anyway. Okay, so discipline. I thought of this today, I've learned this. This is true. Discipline is not emotional. You can't go by your emotions with discipline. Reason being, emotions are so unpredictable and random. As you just check your emotions now, our own emotions throughout the day, without stressing yourself out. 1 minute we feel good, then we feel down, we feel up, we feel angry, we feel sad. So being disciplined and a disciplined person, it has to be a commitment, it has to be a habit, and that is the whole premise of discipline. If discipline was based on feeling good or not feeling good, if, do you know what I mean? So that's why people appreciate people that are disciplined. We respect them deep down, we know what it takes. So discipline is doing things when you don't feel like doing them. So Fitzroy Lodge Amateur Boxing Gym, I feel so grateful to talk about this stuff. You know, I knew when I was younger, when I was going there, I'm 40 now, 40 years of age, 40 years young. I was in my early 20s when I first started amateur boxing. I went to a couple of other boxing clubs, and then I kind of found my home with Fitzroy Lodge. And I remember in my 20s, I was petrified. I was such a nervous person. You know, I couldn't come in places like this or anywhere. Couldn't even really be in public. I was so ashamed. So my social anxiety was, you might as well say it was a mental illness as it was. So I was really nervous about going down Fitzroy Lodge, and I was actually training in a weightlifting gym in Queensway, Bayswater, a gym called Top Notch at the time. You know, I was working out, doing weights. Me and a good friend of mine would go together, or sometimes go on my own. It was a small gym, it was kind of a posh gym, if you want to call it that. And there was a little punch bag there. I was working out. There was a guy there. I was 20 years of age at the time. He was 32, 33. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know that he was famous. He was a former professional boxer, and he was a famous journalist for Sky. But I didn't know. So he saw me hitting the bag, and he's like, "Oh, do you box?" I said, "I want to start boxing, amateur boxing." He was like, he goes, "You're pretty good. You got ability. You punch hard." And then I saw him working out, and he was amazing, way better than me. I was like, "Bloody hell, you're good." And he went, "Yeah. I used to be a professional, but kind of didn't stick to it." He was an amateur. He had a couple of pro fights, and then he decided to pack it in. I can't remember his reason. He'd become like a top journalist. You know, he interviewed Mike Tyson, everybody, all the names in boxing. And we got talking, and at the time, I remember he was with some like young kid that he was mentoring. I think the kid was from some rich family or whatever, so he'd be kind of teaching this kid, and I'd be working out, and I just kind of got to know him down the gym. And one day, I think I said to him I was actually going to All Stars Boxing Gym, which I really like. And he was like, "Why don't you go down to Fitzroy Lodge?" And I was like, "What's Fitzroy Lodge? What's that?" He was like, "It's a famous boxing gym in South London, in Lambeth." He was like, "I'll take you down one day if you like." I said, "Oh, I'd love to." But I remember at the time I was really nervous about, I was always nervous about, meeting people, going places. So I was always really anxious. But I kind of got to know, I don't want to say his name in case he doesn't want me to name him. So basically, we arranged a time, and he took me down there. I really appreciated it, and he introduced me. And he brought me in the gym, and he's like, because they all knew him down the gym, because basically he used to box at Fitzroy Lodge, and he's obviously a famous boxing journalist for Sky. So he knew everyone down, and when he brought me down, he introduced me, which was lovely of him to do. He didn't have to do that. He didn't get paid for it. And he said, right, this is Jonathan. He's 20 years of age or 21. He's got some ability. You know, he wants to box. He wants to be an amateur. And they were like, okay. They were nice to me. And then they were like, they told me to come back at a later date. And I remember, you know, I was shitting myself. I was scared to death to go down on my own. I felt scared, you know, just nervous, shy. So eventually I went down on my own, and they were like, oh, no, I don't know if I can say the guy's name or not. Actually, I can. I think he won't mind. Actually, I appreciate it. I'm gonna say his name. Basically, Ed. His name's Ed Robinson. So really appreciate what he done for me. If he does see this video, really appreciate what he did for me years ago. So basically, the people down Fitzroy Lodge, there was a few trainers. Mickey Carney, God rest his soul. He passed away. He ran Fitzroy Lodge. He's a legend. He got an MBE, helped so many people, including me. So he was down there, some other guys, and they were like, "Oh, you're Ed's friend." I was like, "Yeah." So I started boxing down Fitzroy Lodge. I didn't spar straight away because I was too scared, and you know, I had to kind of like, I had to I had to earn their respect and just do some training, and they had to get to know me and stuff. So, excuse me, I'll get a bit of food in me, I'm starving. How you guys doing? So the moral of the story is, if you can stay on this stream, I'm going to teach all of you how to build discipline, explain what I've learned. I've learned discipline from different areas, but today we'll cover all boxing. So anyway, I started training down Fitzroy Lodge. It's a beautiful gym. It's just beautiful. It's small. It's iconic. It's under a flyover. There's 2 boxing rings. No, I'm not in Japan. I'm in the Lanesborough Hotel in London. So basically, you go into Fitzroy Lodge. There's 2 boxing gyms, and then you've got the bags, and then it's on one. And you go at the end, and there'll be like the trainer. You know the desk where the trainers, then there's the changing rooms. And then there's like stairs that go up, which I never went up. There's a small balcony. So, and then there's gloves, and there's people working out. So I'd work out, I'd hit the bag, shadow boxing, amazing. And I'd watch them spar. And when I'd be watching them spar, I'd be like, oh, that looks a bit scary. You know, you can hear the you can hear the thudding, you know. It's not, see, when you're watching boxing on TV, it looks glamorous, but when you're actually there, it's brutal. It's not well, depends on how you look at it. It's a beautiful art. So when you're there and you see the sparring, when you see the sparring and you're up close, you're scared to do it, you know, until you get obviously seasoned and get used to it. But everybody is shit scared of sparring. Anyone who says they're not is lying. I've got too much life experience, and I know that, until you get used to it. So, especially when you're a shy person. So, the fear and the anxiety is intense, and it puts you into a negative mood. Because when you're so frightened, your body's under stress. You can't be happy in that state. Unless, we'll get to that in a second, you have a lot of experience, you've spiritually grown, and you've got more gratitude. But generally, that state, people are not happy. That's why people don't like fight or flight and anxiety and stress, because it's an unpleasant experience until you can change your mindset and get used to it. But generally, people don't like it, which is why people don't face their fears a lot. Anyway, so on the topic of discipline, the natural thing that I'd always do, I'd always say, like, I wanted to impress the trainers, as everyone does. I wanted their approval, and I wanted to get my own respect. So I was like, can I spar soon? And they were like, sometimes the trainer would go, no. I'd be like, how comes? He'd be like, go on the bag, you're not ready yet. Another time, I'd be like, can I spar soon? He'll be like, yeah, okay. But when it actually comes to doing it, I didn't want to get in. I was terrified, scared to death, because it's frightening, you know, and it triggers your anxiety, especially when you're new and you ain't got experience and you're already a nervous, shy person. So the state that I used to be in, my emotional state before sparring was, I don't want to do it, I'm not in the mood, I'm going to wait till I get in the mood. When I feel good, when I'm confident, when I feel strong, when I don't feel scared, then I'm going to get in the ring. It doesn't work like that. That would never come. So on the topic of discipline, of today's talk, in all areas of life, we're talking about the discipline to get up in the morning on time, clean your apartment, go to work, start a business, be kind to people, be able to come into nice places, have good manners, whatever place you're in, you know, respect people. The discipline to not procrastinate on your particular goals, whatever your goals, your dreams are, let me know in the box below. It doesn't really matter. The principle's the same. You can't go by emotions, because if you go by emotions, you won't be consistent, because people's emotions change all the time. You know, people say that they're going to start a business next week. They say it when they feel good. So we can all sit down now and we can say, I'm going to start a business, or I'm going to make more money, or I'm going to help people, or you know, I'm going to get in shape, or I'm going to have an amateur fight, I'm going to go into MMA. It's easy to say it now because there's no threat. You're in a good mood now, and you're setting the goal in the future, so you don't have to do it now. So there's good emotions now. But when it comes to the day of doing it, you're soon going to change the way you feel when the fears kick in, and that's why discipline can't be emotional. It has to be spiritual. It has to be a mindset, a heart set, whatever we term it. You know, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is acting whilst being afraid. That's just another explanation for discipline. It takes courage to be disciplined. You know, if these things were easy, then there'll be no value in it. People wouldn't value people that were disciplined if it was easy. We value them because we know it's not easy, because we've tried it in our life, or we failed at it, or we maybe got it right. So I really have to explain to you the understanding of what it is to be disciplined and what it isn't, and what the lies are. People lie a lot, and that's why they get out of it. They say, I'm going to do it, but not now, it's raining. It's lies, it's excuses. Because, you know, if the rain's going to stop you from going for a run, you've got no discipline. Discipline is about making no excuses and doing it. You know, unless the world's going to end, then maybe you can't go for a run. But you can go for a run in the rain, get wet. You can dry when you get back home, or put a mac on, or a hoodie on, or an umbrella, whatever. So in the amateurs at the start, I always made excuses. I was always a coward because I was too obsessed with emotions, and I didn't have the right awareness and education on boxing, life, you know, people, emotions. So I was emotionally dependent, and that's what made me weak at that time. And when the trainer actually said to me one day, I remember I come in the gym, guys, right? I was in a really good mood because I knew I wouldn't be sparring. And I really enjoyed the training, as I still do. I like hitting the bag, I like feeling strong, I like sharpening up. But this day, I didn't know he was going to do it. I walked in, he said, you're sparring today? He goes, have you got your gum short? And I think I said no, and he went, don't worry, I've got a spare one. And when he said that, my legs started to shake, and I felt scared to death. It triggered my anxiety, because I knew I was going to have to face something that was going to be difficult, and I was going to take a beating. Of course, you know, generally nobody wants to take a beating until you until you get accustomed and you get used to it, and then you might enjoy taking a beating. A lot of times you can grow to love it. At the start, you don't want to take a beating, you don't want to get hurt, and you don't want to get embarrassed or beaten or ashamed. So I remember that day when he said it at the start of the session, and he's very good. These trainers are very good. They got so much life experience. They got they're psychologists, they're therapists, they're practitioners. They're very, very intelligent people. boxing trainers, they're not just teaching you about boxing. They understand life probably more than most people. Now, I'm not saying they know everything, but they know a lot about life and people, especially when they've been doing it for 50, 60 years. And, you got to remember, don't get too caught up on the identity. They're not just a boxing trainer. A lot of them are a father, they've got kids, or they mentor, they've got life experience, they know different people, they know all sorts of people, famous people, probably people in all different walks of life. So they've been around, they understand bullshit. They know when someone is just talking out of their backside, when someone is, someone's being honest and accountable. So what he did was that day, he was really building me up, because obviously he could see straight away. They could see how scared I was, how shy I was, how insecure I was, and how I needed building up. And they could also see that I had some ability as well, hopefully. So when he said that at the start of the session, I remember I couldn't train properly because I was so nervous. I just started to see my face now. Obviously, I'm pale skinned, but my face went whiter and I was sweating with terror and fear. I couldn't communicate and I could hardly hit the bag because the adrenaline, the fear, I wasn't used to that level of fear. I wasn't used to being under that level of stress and anxiety for a long time. So I went into the changing room, went to the toilet, had to go to the toilet, had diarrhea, and I had to basically sit on, sorry to be crude, but it's true, sit on the toilet and put my head forward and breathe because I felt sick with worry and fear. That's what being humbled is really about, because everybody talks a good game. We all have done it, all of us do, the male ego, or the female ego, and we say that we could do this or that, or we could do it better and so on. But when you're in a situation, usually you don't handle it well. You're begging for your mum to rescue you. I was begging for my mum or my nan, my dad, until you get used to it, of course. You get more humble, you get more confident, you get stronger, and then you have a different mindset and you want to get in. You understand the value of doing it, but you have to practice the discipline. So I was in the toilet and I didn't want to come out. Eventually I had to come out, and I remember thinking, I don't want to do it. What excuse can I come up with? And he just wouldn't accept it. And then he put me in the ring, and I just felt sick, I felt tired, I felt fatigued. And that was because I didn't know how to relax under pressure. And I got in, and it was really difficult. But when I got out, I felt better. I felt better because it was over, and I'd grown. I'd improved a little bit more from being in the arena, getting in the ring. Of course, the next week same again. He goes, I remember I come in the gym again, he went, you're going at your sparring today. And I remember I was a little bit more optimistic. I was like, no problem, I go great. But inside I'm like, oh shit, I'm scared, I don't want to go through that again. That whole process is extremely frightening and very beautiful and humbling, especially at the start. So when you understand discipline, when you understand the lies that we all tell to get out of it, procrastination, but when you understand the value of doing it and the courage that you gain and the humility and the strength, then you understand it, then you can improve it. A lot of people are not disciplined because they don't understand it. They don't understand why they always procrastinate. They just know that they do it. They say, I procrastinate a lot. But they don't understand the reason. They don't realize that they're so frightened and that they are addicted to their emotions, and they are trying to solve a problem with the wrong tool. So you can't solve this problem based on your emotions. This problem needs to be solved based on courage, which doesn't come from emotions. It comes from the heart, spirit, soul, all those things. It's not emotional. Although, when you face your fear, and you get in a boxing ring, or you get on stage, or you do anything that anything that you need to do that you don't want to do, when you do it afterwards, your emotions will actually be good, because you'll experience self-respect, strength, courage, satisfaction, confidence, humility, discipline, and of course, all those things are going to give you some good emotions. But even then, you've got to keep doing it. You've got to live it for life. So the next day comes, back in the gym again, you're going to be scared again, but you're going to be a little bit wiser this time. Hopefully you'll volunteer to go in. After weeks and weeks of these guys at Fitzroy Lodge, Mickey Carney, Mark, After these guys building my confidence up and putting me in a sparring, I was still scared, but I was more brave. I was putting my hand up going, can I spar today? And they were like, yeah. I was like, can I do, instead of 3 rounds, can I do 5 rounds? And that's when I started to grow and improve. So that's an example of my real life. Anyone can do it, by the way. I saw kids that was at the gym with me that were petrified and like me, mentally weak and scared, and I saw them transform 6 months later. Didn't recognize them in sparring. They were so much more confident. They're just jumping in. So it's a beautiful truth, and anyone can do it who really wants to do it, which is why I say I only work with clients that are committed. They're committed to changing their life, building discipline in every area of their life, and being a better person. Because if you're not committed, then you're going to waste my time, and I'm not going to have my time wasted. I haven't got time to waste, and you haven't got time to waste either. So it's about a commitment. Discipline has to be a commitment. It can't be emotions, because you can't trust emotions. They're fleeting, they're up and down. Pretty much like fanatical fans online. You know, they love you when you are giving them what they want, and then they hate you the next day when they, make up lies about you, or they just find a reason because they're too emotional. There's not enough strength in that. Of course, emotions are nice. God gave us emotions so we can have relationships and experience life, but they don't work in every area of life. And discipline is more of a mature thing, where someone who's too emotional it's immaturity. It's different. Of course, when you're young, that's fine. You're a kid, we're kids. You wouldn't expect a child to be, when we're young kids, to be disciplined, because that's kind of like too harsh. But as an adult, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 plus, you've got to mature and grow up, unless you want to stay immature and not grow and not live the life that you want. So that same process, sparring at Fitzroy Lodge, that's why I was able to build a business when I was scared to do it and go and do public talks and, attract clients from all around the world and get paid a lot of money doing what I loved and help my clients to make money because of the discipline that I learned in the amateurs and the strength that I got. And I learned how to control fear, better than the average person through doing it. And then I built a lot of discipline by running a business, dealing with people, challenges, good things, making money, paying tax, putting events on, making YouTube videos. It was the same process. Obviously, it was a bit different, but it's the same. So going into a boxing gym when you're scared and nervous and you don't feel like it, but making yourself do it every single week. I'd spar every Tuesday and Thursday. I'd spar at Fitzroy Lodge. So if you're sparring twice a week, if you add that up, that's a lot of training, sparring time. And sometimes I'd spar outside of that, or maybe a bit more, or do more rounds. So, it doesn't really matter where you practice discipline, as long as you're practicing it and it's challenging. So with the running I'm doing at the moment, and my clients are doing it, I'm raising more awareness and helping people. I'm doing like 3 projects. So I run for myself to keep my mental health good, because I need my mental health to be good, because otherwise I can't mentor my clients. And I love running. It's a passion of mine. It makes me grateful and humble. It's part of my discipline daily. So I do it for me. I teach it in my paid programs, because it's my clients. If they don't do it, they're not going to change their life. It's life changing. And I also put it out on all the